Hello and welcome to Rise and Shine. I am your hostess, Alissa Bakar, the consultress, and I am bringing you live conversations from interesting people in the forefront of business and life. Why today? Why now? Well, because in today's day and age, there is nothing new about this place in this evolutionary times we live in. So I'm inviting you to my digital campfire, my digital hearth space, to have interesting conversations with amazing people that I have the privilege of meeting and talking with throughout my career journey and my lifetime. So today I have with us my good friend, Kimberly K French, newly minted author. We've known each other for over a decade, and this woman is truly fantastic. Kimberly, welcome to Rise and Shine.
Thank you for having me.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Well, I'd love to start this conversation out with newly minted author, because that's quite an accomplishment in any phase of life, right? The name of your book is Unexpected Pivots. So tell us a little bit about where the inspiration for that book came from.
All the unexpected pivots in my own life. There are many, and as everyone has many, but a couple in particular had me really digging deep as to like the meaning and purpose behind all the stuff that we go through in life. And one of them was the premature birth of my daughter when she was at 25 weeks and she weighed 1 pound. And for everyone out there, that's the equivalent of 4 sticks of butter. So that just puts it in perspective of how tiny she was. And we spent 5 months in the NICU with her. And during that time, I was very faith building for my husband and myself. And a lot of different things happened. We almost lost her at 8 weeks and had to go dig deeper and deeper through that whole process. And I remember a lot of people asking me, how did you make it through that time? And there are other key pivotal points in my life where like, how did you do that? How did you do this? And my inner guidance just kept saying, write this down, write it down. And lots of like other author friends, and we have a lot in our community, the shared community between the two of us, who inspired me to say, write this story down because the world needs to hear it. Somebody out there needs to hear it. So that was inspiration.
Right on. And I again, I am like a big fan of Friends, the show from the 90s, right? A pivot is one of like the pivotal scenes of that show where, they're trying to move something and Ross, a couch
A
upstairs.
couch up the stairs. Yep.
Yep. And they're yelling, pivot. But as entrepreneurs, we all know that that is to be expected. Expecting the unexpected is actually a learned and practiced skill. So I love what you have to say about, expect the unexpected and then pivot. How I know this translated into your personal life, your professional life. So I know this book, you said to me, back in the green screen, that this is all about you fully embracing your entire self. So, can you talk a little bit about how, your personal self, your professional self, and, all the other hats that we as women wear showed up in this, writing journey?
Sure. I can't separate the two, right? Everyone says, put on your professional face over here, and this is when you're at home, you can be this. But I call bullshit on that because you can't separate yourself. And yes, there's a professional time to focus and to be, in a certain mindset of when you're trying to accomplish a goal. But my first idea to write the book was to have a book on the spirituality of business, because it's like you can't separate who you are in business and life. And for me, embracing my whole self, there's no other way. So I've gotten some feedback already on the book and some reviews where people say it's like having a cup of coffee with Kimberly as she talks about all of her unexpected pivots in life. Because I started to approach it with like storytelling, just sharing the story, facts, and here's just what I did. And then it just became more of a conversation, and it felt so good to me. Like I was having a conversation with God every morning about what was happening, and I'm having a conversation with the reader.
Right on. So how does that apply in your work life? Or
Sure.
does it apply in your work life?
Oh,
I know you said
yeah.
spirituality of business, like, open that up for me a little.
So I have been on a journey in my business life going from corporate when I was fresh out of college to entrepreneurship later in life. And throughout it all, I've always had this background belief system that has guided me through each and every pivot. I think it was when, as an entrepreneur and helping entrepreneurs also in their businesses, you pivot all the time. There's always something that comes up that doesn't go your way. You have to adjust. I just gave a Toastmaster speech, and I think it was called welcome the unexpected. How do you embrace the unexpected? Because that's what life is really all about. Every day is unexpected. You don't know what's going to happen 5 minutes from now. You don't know right now if I'm going to go off on a tangent and talk about something totally different, or my kid's going to come in here and say something, the dog's going to bark. We just don't know, right? And we have to roll with the punches a lot of times. So in business, I think having that groundedness of expecting those things to happen and having some tools in place to help you do that, so that you don't fly off the handle with your employees, show up, angry at meetings because things didn't go your way, or come in depressed because things didn't go your way. I mean, all these things I've experienced. And until I kind of
Me
learned for
too.
myself. Yeah, I mean, it's human. We're human. That's why we can't separate ourselves. But if you embrace that your full humanity, right, and say, okay, I am feeling blue today. What's going on? And have some awareness. So I think the book, and for business in particular, being aware in your business life and in your home life, I think everything stems from the awareness of like our feelings, what they're telling us in our body, and the feedback we're getting, and integrating that in a way that you come out feeling better and whole, that you've experienced something.
Yeah. Say more, because I know on the other side of that mug of yours is like a formula.
It is. It's stable. So this
Oh,
is what
wait,
I was
stop.
writing.
Everybody stop right now. Kimberly, say stable.
Stable.
And then everybody take a screenshot. That's exactly what we need is, stay connected, trusting in our God. Go ahead and tell everybody what that means.
Oh, after I turn off my phone alarm. My morning alarm to wake up my daughter. I forgot to turn that off. Yeah, so this stable process came about as I was writing the book, and I was going back and I was asking myself, how did I pivot? What made me successful in the NICU? What made me successful in business? And it stands for S is stay centered, B or T is trust your inner guidance, A, accept life as it is, B is believe anything is possible, L is live in gratitude, and E is empower yourself. And each one of those is, it doesn't have to be in that order. Oftentimes I start with gratitude, even though it's L, number 5 on the list, because I find in gratitude, no matter what is happening, if you can find something to be grateful for, things just start to unfold for you in a way that you can accept better. You can stay centered better. Gratitude is, if I'm waking up in the morning and I'm not feeling good about something, I'm like, oh, I'm dreading this day because I've got to speak to so-and-so, or something is, happened yesterday that I'm still carrying over. If I do a little gratitude walk around my house and all the things I'm grateful for in my life, the whole thing shifts. And then getting into the stable process is so much easier.
I love what you just said. Like, I'm going to rephrase it in the way that it landed for me, just and see if this resonates out there. Gratitude is a pattern interrupt.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if that is the only thing I learned here today, I mean, I have a morning gratitude practice and, the miracle morning or power hour,
Mm-hmm.
whatever you call it. But that, just what you said right there about having that mechanism to be the thing that helps you to go into the processing of whatever's up for you, that's revolutionary. As a wife, mother, entrepreneur, work from home, I mean, like, how many of us out there are like dealing with many things all at once, and that can be quite overwhelming and frustrating, and full human transparency can create some kind of backlash in our relationships. It can create angst and that push-pull feeling. looking back to like an experience that I had even last week in my family where I could have used that tool,
Mm,
instead of lashing out about, bedtime and hurry up. And, I had a lot on my mind. So I was feeling rushed. And so everybody else got to have the awesome experience
mhm,
of me being rushed and not my best self. Had I had the tool to say, whoop, okay, let's just pause half a second. One thing I could be grateful for, because I'm already practiced at it in the morning. I think that would help me to be able to pull that up at a moment's notice and go, okay, snap that rubber band, interrupt that pattern or that like cyclical behavior that is really the opportunity for everybody to just take some awareness and grow, right? Because nobody's
mhm.
perfect. I love that pattern interrupt with gratitude.
So two
And
things come to mind when you say that. And one of them is you practiced it, right? So all of these things are to be practiced on a daily basis for when you need them most. And I think that was like the biggest aha moment for me when I was like, oh, my NICU experience or my time in the corporate and whatever, my CEO role as an entrepreneur later in life, I practiced it ahead of time. That's why it was so, I had a toolbox ready. But then also the second thing that came up is I practice gratitude with my business partner in that entrepreneurial role. So every like Monday morning, we would start the week off and we get on a call and we say, what are we grateful for today? Even if a client was like walking out the door or something was happening where we were struggling, we're like, there's always something to be grateful for. And it was those days that worked out better than the days that we didn't do the gratitude practice. So you can incorporate, like you had the question about how do you, work versus personal life. You can incorporate all of these things in teams because we're all human and we all need and have the same foundation for what helps us to be successful, and gratitude is that one that's easy, right? It's kind of like a prayer. You don't say prayer in a workplace, but if you say gratitude, people are like, oh, okay, yeah, that kind of makes me feel good.
yeah, and then it resonates because that feeling of like, what do they say? You build, if you sweat in times of peace, you'll bleed less in times of war. I think that was like a Stoic saying I just recently saw.
Mm,
And it's like, if you practice these things before they're absolutely needed,
mm,
you'll be able to be better equipped and ready to handle it when that tsunami does crash on your shore, when that frustration
mhm.
is present, when it's time to be caring and loving to your kids, or when you're having a frustrating moment and you need to be there for your client and your team. Taking that practice and putting it into motion on a more regular
Mhm.
basis helps you to be able to be prepared for when the unexpected happens. Like that is just like the perfect analogy for practice makes perfect, but
Yeah,
also practice makes progress.
absolutely. Yeah, there is no perfection. We know that, but progress is like what we're after, right? And I think remembering is the key, and that's why we continue to talk about it on podcasts. That's why we continue to have a conversation about why are these things important? Because we forget. We're human. We forget, and we're programmed to look for the scary things out there to protect ourselves from, rather than what are the things that are going to help us keep stable and balanced. We want to protect ourselves first and foremost because security is our primary concern. And I think whatever we can do to remember, and that's why having a mug with whatever saying you have for yourself, right? I created this because I had week one of after delivering the book. It was launched on October 3rd, and a friend of a friend had read my book, and she wrote me a fan letter. And she wrote how this has changed her life for her and her husband, and how she's going to make bookmarks for herself with this, and she's sharing it with her book club. And it really touched me because I'm like, I had no idea that somebody would be touched by that. So one person was touched, I'm happy.
Yeah.
And
So we need to get everybody here. If you're watching this today, go ahead and where can they order your book?
Amazon, and actually it looks like this, if you can see it. There we go,
Yeah,
there
there you
we
go. Right there.
go. Amazon, it's going to be an Audible next week. So, and it's also on Kindle. So Kindle, paperback on Amazon and on Audible.
Beautiful. And so we're really excited in this household, in the Bakar household, to grab and read your book, because there are so many gems in just this short conversation around the spirituality and the non-separation of self and business. All about it. Anybody who's ever watched Rise and Shine, like that, it oozes from me, right? So this
Yep.
book is right up my alley, and I think anyone who's been resonating with this, go out and grab yourself a copy, because this woman is amazing. She's been through highs and lows like a true CEO and a badass businesswoman. And all of us out here who are raising families, raising our own vibration, this is just, it feels like so much of what you've captured in your writing. And I'm blessed to call you friend. I'm happy to have you here for this, you know, monumental like exposure conversation. So go out, get unexpected pivots for yourself, for your family, for your book clubs. Alyssa's Shelf Health Book Club with Janet Rossler. If any of you are watching, this should be next on our list. Just saying. So I want to thank you for taking the time to be here with me today. And where can people find you? We know they can go to Amazon and Audible to get your book. How can they connect with you?
Sure. www.kimberlykfrench.com, or they can write me an email at kimberly@kimberlykfrench.com.
And don't forget the K in the middle. It's very important.
That's right. There's lots of Kimberly Frenches out there, so the K in is important.
But only one you. Thank you so much for sharing your story and your vulnerability here about being a first-time author. I'm really excited to have you back and hear all the success that happened after this. So
I can't wait to come back.
Yeah, right on. So cheers. And
cheers.
Soon. Ciao for now. Next Monday, 7:30 a.m. Same bat time, same bat channel. Click subscribe, hit the bell. Don't miss another episode of Rise and Shine with Alissa. And thanks again for coming and hanging out with us today. Leave us some comments about what you thought about today's episode and how it's developing for you if you've watched it and it's had an impact for you. See you soon.